The deeper meaning of Adam and Eve. The story of Adam and Eve is a metaphor. They were created in paradise, a place of pure goodness, joy, beauty, and divine union. There was no duality, there was no good and bad. All was good, all was perfection. Then the snake whispered in Eve's ear, and that snake has been whispering in the ear of humanity ever since. The snake, like everything else on the earth, was created by God. How could it not be? And the reason God created it was to test their obedience to Him. Would they obey His command to leave the tree and the fruit alone, or would they succumb to the temptation? God had to know that with the free will which He bestowed upon them, they would consciously choose to obey Him. But they consciously chose to disobey. God also needed to find out whether Adam and Eve would doubt Him if prompted to do so. Would they doubt His absolute love, wisdom, knowledge and power? And so, through the forked tongue of the snake, God tested them by offering a seed of doubt to see if their trust in Him was truly strong and total. But it was not. The moment that first shadow of doubt formed in Adam and Eve's mind, darkness was born. Doubt was born, and instantaneously they no longer inhabited God's divine realm of light and perfection. In that moment, ignorance was born, unconsciousness of God was born. Evil was born from this ignorance of God's pure light. A world of duality was born, a world of good and bad, light and dark, honesty and dishonesty, love and hatred. Dark thoughts and destructive thoughts were also born. The snake with its forked tongue represents duality. The garden was a place of luminous unity, of perfection and divinity, of communion with and obedience to the Creator, who knew precisely what was good for and what was needed by Adam and Eve. The mental realm of doubt which the snake proposed to Adam and Eve represents the dualistic perception of the world that most people see with their eyes today, a world of doubt, uncertainty, insecurity and fear, where people doubt the total providence of God. Yet the pure realm of divinity, the metaphoric Garden of Eden, still exists and is accessible by every one of us. All we need to do is to fix the mistake of listening to the snake, which continues to talk in the ear of most human beings on a daily basis. Essentially, this is the voice of the ego, which divides us from the world, divides us inside, telling us we are bad, thus creating the badness, divides us from our human brothers and sisters, and sets us against each other. The dualistic world of good and evil, light and shadow, exists solely because of the snake's speech, because his words in Eve's ear created that reality in her mind when she believed them. The significance of the snake's forked tongue is that it represents his mode of speech, i.e. two-sided. So we must ensure that we do not speak in the same manner, dividing up everything we perceive and creating conflict. We could say that there are good people and there are bad people, but in truth, there are healthy people, for example those who are living from their heart, and there are sick people, those who are alien to their own heart and are lost in the darkness of their mind. This is not good and bad, this is merely healthy and sick. So perceived correctly, which is from a place higher than the dualistic mind, this is no longer a world of division and conflict, and thus there is no need to fight. The only need is for healing, and first we must heal ourselves of the division created by the voice of the ego, the snake which tells us we must be afraid, we must hide from God, from reality, from truth. This of course is a lie, because God's light is the method of healing, because it is loving and transformative in its nature. We have also projected the darkness created by our doubt onto the Creator Himself, perceiving Him as a force of judgment and punishment, who gets displeased and angry. But this is a kind of anthropomorphism, projecting human qualities onto that which transcends the human and transcends the dualistic. We create an untrue image of God, which we live in fear of. If you create an image, a vision in your own mind, which you believe, then you inhabit the reality that concept creates. Just like Adam and Eve did, we create the world of darkness in our mind, and we project it outwards. We perceive the outer world through this conceptual lens. And so the opposite is true. If you uncreate the reality you created, which exists purely in your mind, then you will no longer inhabit that world of darkness, dualism, and conflict. You will no longer project it upon the outer world. This, of course, transforms our relationship and our perception of the world we inhabit. We no longer perceive an absence of divine light anywhere spiritually. We no longer perceive shadows where God's light is not present, because those shadows were only created by our own thoughts, like clouds cast shadows upon the ground. As the doubting, fearful, insecure, and mistrustful thoughts fade away, no longer fed by our attention, the shadows of doubt vanish in our experiential awareness, and we see the light shining everywhere. We see that God is everywhere, especially in our mind and in our heart, which is no longer contracted and held in tension due to fearful thinking. We see God's light reflected in the material world around us, a world which itself is in fact a metaphor, a material projection of our heart, hence the similarity of spelling in the words heart and earth. Earth is the deep beauty of our spiritual heart, made solid and tangible. We can actually use our relationship with the earth, abundant with peace, beauty, and deep harmony, as a vehicle to return to the kingdom of heaven within. It is a tool to reunite with God and rediscover the unity of His truth, the divinity which was our original awareness in the Garden of Eden. For we are still in the garden. Earth is the garden. We simply turned our mind from its perfection and beauty, and instead contemplated visions of imperfection, fault, darkness and destruction, which we then manifested through our own words and actions upon the earth plane. In a way, we spoke it into existence. So as we look away from these dualistic mistruths, presented only by the thinking mind, and we bring our attention back to the garden, back to our heart, back to the beauty and magnificence, back to a deeply felt place of trust, inner security, love and humility, then we return home, and we see that it was all just a bad dream. It can be over now, if we are willing to let go of all of our doubts and fully trust once again.